Hey crafters, welcome to Paulette's Pretty Paper Crafts. Today is June 5th, 2015, and it is the Pretty Pink Posh Watercolor Inspiration Blog Hop. I am entering this card, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out, but I gotta tell you, I filmed the whole process, including interruptions, and was going to piece my video together, and I talk a lot during my video, so it was eternally long. So I'm just going to tell you how I made the card, and then I'm going to watercolor paint a panel for you because it's so quick and so easy. I used the Pretty Pink Posh tag die from, let's see, Stitched Duos number 3, I believe, yes. And it's the one that also has this little window section. And then I also used this really sweet little tag from Simon Says Stamp, bundle of stitched dies, stitched shapes, this little shape right here, to die cut this tag and then stamped a happy birthday greeting on there. And tied a little piece of cotton yarn on that, and I really love the way it turned out. And my daughter-in-law may be getting this for her birthday. She loves green, but anyway, let's do this watercoloring panel. I know you're gonna love it. I love it. And that was a very odd-sized card due to the size of this flower. So I ultimately ended up layering my colored cardstock behind it and then scoring the back piece for the hinge for the card, but you can see it's still just a really nice size card. So I'm very pleased with it. So I'm going to pull the Crayola washable markers and Cra-Z-art washable kids markers. These are the 3 markers that I used for this area, and then I used this kind of teal for the background. So let's just lay those maybe aside. Let's lay those over here for a moment, and let's just get started. This is the easiest watercoloring you will ever do. I call it faux watercoloring. I'm going to start with the pink and just go around each petal, and you can just go as fast or as slow as you want to. I really want to stay within the outside petals. I want to try to stay within the embossed line there, and you can be as neat or as sloppy as you want, because when we add water to this, it's going to do its magic, which is what I love. Maybe I'm also doing a Kathy Racusin's 30-day color challenge, and I'm probably going to show you how I sit down and mass color really quick with this technique during that. Okay, so there's the pink. Let's go ahead and take the purple, and on this flower there are areas that you know are naturally going to be darker, kind of down here where all of these little fine lines are. So down here in the bottom of the petals and up here around the edges. So I'm just going to swoosh around the edges there again. And just scruff in here. It does not matter, but I will want some dark also around that outside area. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in, scrub all this in, and just try to make this video as short as possible. And again, it's not going to matter because this is going to melt when we add water to it, because they're washable and do its magic thing. So let's just get on here. And then I'm going to use this really kind of magenta color for the center, which turned out really nice. I'm really pleased with this. When I was first filming this video, I mean, I was just on the fly. And if, you know, choosing things just gets a little bit long, and I made a bad choice and outlined my flower in some gray after I watercolored the background, and that was horrible and had to go back and dilute it. So this will be better. Okay, let's take that magenta kind of color, maroon, magenta, whatever you want to call it, and just do the center. And I'm even going to go outside of that a little bit because I did like that when it bled out. And then we are just going to take, let's use the Aqua Painter. I just used a different Aqua Painter that doesn't hold water, but I'm just going to use the Aqua Painter this time. It is the exact same difference. And get the water flowing. Flow and go. One tip I wanted to share, this is the Pentel Aqua Painter. There is a fill line on here, and you don't want to fill your water past that. It's about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of the neck here where that comes off. That unscrews, and you just take it to the tap and put water in there. And if you fill past the fill line, the water just leaks out of this and makes a mess. So that's why you don't want to fill past that fill line. So let's just start right here in the center and get the center going. And this beautiful white embossing is just going to blossom there. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my tip off here. And let's just start out here. I'm going to try to stay inside the embossed lines there on these very outer petals because I don't really want that to bleed out into where I'm going to put the outside wash, which is going to be that nice teal color. So, and if you ever feel like your brush is getting too saturated with ink, you can tap it off onto your paper towel. I did this technique, gosh, it'll be 2 seasons ago. I did it for the Christmas cards of 2013 with a paper tray ink poinsettia die, and it just ended up gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. And you know, I never use this stamp, this huge jumbo magnolia from Stampendous, because it scares me and I don't know how to fill it up with color. So this technique is perfect. I use this technique on my little stamps, my little flower pots and chairs and my little scenery stamps from Stampin' Up, and someday I'm going to come back and do a video and just show you how quickly you can do just mass color, like if you're doing Christmas cards or invitations. Okay, we're just going to run all the way around this and let that blend and do its magic. And it certainly is. Now, in my original video, I came back after this dried a little bit and added some more color, but I don't think I'm going to need to. I think that's really good. Let's maybe blend. I have a little bit of a harsh line here where that magenta was, and I'm going to kind of rinse some of that out. Here at the edges, and then I'll add some more color in the center of that, because I really did love my finished flower, and I ended up going back and actually blotting it some. I guess we could do that while it's still a little bit damp and take some of that purple off of some of those petals. And if, like, these are still a little bit dark, I'm just going to add some water to them, and there we go. See if you can't draw some of that up. Now, in my haste there to do that, I got a little bit of mess outside here, so I'm just going to go through there with my water brush and pick some of that up, the bulk of it. You don't have to get all of it. And let's go back right here in the very center and add a little bit more of that dark. And I think we can start on the background. So I'm going to grab this very teal looking marker. We're just going to scribble in and around. And I'm not going to be really precise. I don't care if some of this goes to the edges. I think that that'll be nice. I do want to get some color up into all those little, I do want it to come up all around my flower. Go ahead and come to the edges on some. Let's just go ahead and do some edges. Doesn't have to be all of them. But in a few spots, I want it to be kind of irregular. And I'm just going to, gosh, try not to touch your flower in the really wet spot. I'll hold on to the leaves down here. Okay, I'm going to let some water out of my aqua pen here. And just start bringing that water into the flower. Let's get that down to the edge. There we go. And it helps if you go ahead and wet some areas, wet them, and then come back to them. Let them start, you know, dissolving. Then you can always come back. So we need to dissolve some of that. That can dissolve while I'm poking this into here. Go back and blend out my marker lines where I can see them. Oh, that was starting to cauliflower over there. Did you see that? I don't particularly like the bloom or the cauliflower, but if you get too much water going, it will do that on its own. And you know, I don't mind it on other people's artwork, but I really don't like to see that on mine. Is that weird? Some of that purple that was outside the flower is getting in there, but that's okay. Go down here and smoosh out those lines. We're getting a little bit of bloom over there. I'm just going to let it go. Just let it go. A pull some in right there where it didn't get right up to the flower. That's the thing about going back in. You have to drag it back out. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let's hit it with the heat tool. I typically think it's prettier if you just let it dry on its own, but as long as you don't have any puddles of water, you should probably be okay. And if you keep your artwork laying on this glass mat, it will just form condensation between it and the glass mat, and it will take forever for your watercolor paper to dry. So that's why I'm kind of lifting it and holding it off of the glass mat. And ask me how I know. How do I know that? Curling up. That's why it's always good to dry the back too, because the whole thing really gets wet. Yanked the camera. I hope we still have sound. When I do that and it yanks on the earbuds, sometimes I lose sound and then my whole video is ruined. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. And while my watercolor paper is still a little bit warm, I like to just flex it in all these different directions and kind of try to straighten it out. And I did use the Aleene's Fast Grab Tacky Glue. So I don't know, what do you think? I actually ended up just doing the pink and then going in and adding the purple later. I kind of like this where I added them both together. Although you do get, like, I got a kind of a washout on some of those. So, you know, if you needed to, you could go back in. I'll just show you really on some of these, because it wasn't all of them. You could go back in and add really to your heart's content. And it's just like the background. You have to let it kind of soak in, get it started, so you might as well wet all of them. And then once that starts working a little bit, and I actually did that, and then I went and just dabbed out. That's how I got that little bit of lighter pink on some of those petals, was just going in and lifting up some of that. And then it kind of gives you that very interesting depth. I don't know, it's almost like coloring with Copics, you know. Some people put down color and then they go back and they take out color. And they put down color and go back and take out color. I really like the fastest route possible. Partly because I don't have a ton of time, and partly because I'm impatient. So that's probably not completely dry, but it's dry enough for this demonstration. So try to get some of the curls out. So there you go. If you have any questions, be sure and let me know.